Anil Rego, who's the founder and fund manager at Right Horizons PMS, joins in. Anil, pleasure speaking to you on NDTV Profit. My first question is, what do you make of the kind of pressure that the market is seeing today?
Yes, so I guess we have IT which did well for some time, now taking a bit of a correction. It also a little bit has been in line with our view that, this is possibly there was one leg left and that is sort of unfolding. Our view has been somewhere between June, July, we should see a bottoming out, and hopefully from there we see a little bit of a sustained, up. Okay, because when we're looking at various contrary indicators, etc., I think we are coming closer to the end, whether it is in terms of number of stocks which are at 52-week lows, if it was in terms of the breadth of the market, etc. Right, so you have those at levels which typically, from there one sees a bit of an uptick. So at extreme points, again, we're seeing extreme point on FIs, okay, and again, a set of outflows there. So all said and all, I believe it's a little bit a part of a natural correction. It's hopefully it's part of a bottoming out process, and at extremes is where it makes you very nervous. But one believes that in the short term we may see a little bit more volatility, through this month. And potentially next month, and then hopefully, we should be better off from there.
Right. Anil, how do you play the IT sector? Because there has been a lot of narrative building overseas impact as well. But there are some experts and market experts right here on Markets at 12 also yesterday saying that it was a dead cat bounce. And today it looks like it probably was. What's your view on the IT sector and the current valuations and investment strategy for that?
So interestingly, we have a bit of a contrarian view there as well. Okay, and our view is that yes, in the short term, the index and the stocks need to find their level. Okay, definitely there is whole thing around AI, and I'll use that wave itself and the US to give you an example. You had NVIDIAs of the world really do well, and then suddenly you had the Intels and the others follow through, right? So I believe that is also going to be there because my view is that actually Indian IT will also benefit from the AI wave, okay? Because they are working a lot with large MNC corporates who cannot just implement AI just like that and get it running, right? They have a whole lot of implementation work to do. Somebody needs to oversee it, and somebody needs to test it, and there's a whole lot of integration with various parts of their code, and that, in my view, Indian IT is best placed for that. Okay, so while you have this happen, I think coming back to IT itself and valuations, etc. I believe that we've seen both a price correction and a very good time correction. In fact, I guess it's been frustrating for most. Okay, wherever you thought, like even now, you thought, okay, the rally is about to take off. It again, frustrates you there. But it's coming back to my point that where you find the points of extreme frustration. Okay, when you say, okay, from here, I don't think it's ever going to go up. Okay, is where it will come and it will really, turn around and do well. So in the short term, yes, I think this volatility is part of this bottoming out, as there's a bit of a thing from both sides coming back and fighting it out, saying that, where it will sustain. But I think in the long term, it's still going to be earnings growth, it's going to be all of those factors. And I think some of that with AI projects also will start coming in. I believe that, Indian IT services will also benefit from AI in some form.
Right. So, Anil, that was your view on the IT sector. But at the current moment, given the market condition where there is a selling pressure, which is seen all across the board, which are the buying opportunities, or are there any buying opportunities that you're looking at? And how do you view the short-term nature of the market movement?
Well, when I said bottoming out, what do you do with those sectors, including IT and stuff? I think you need to be staggering things because it's difficult to predict exactly where it is. So So definitely, I'm not giving a buy call, go and buy full as of now, right? So, and what is saying it's going to be volatile and, so right up to maybe June and possibly July as well. So that's just a caveat that I just want to say. Now coming back is what is it that you can buy? I think the safest way to go about it is say, okay, what's not going to be impacted, right? So, and there are themes like, for example, hospitals, okay, which we would like to look at, and I think there's a secular trend which should sort of come in, and so hospitals can be one. The second is we still think that manufacturing, has a wave, up to go. Of course, you have to be careful that you can avoid companies now because of the war and especially the impacts on petroleum prices, etc. Right. So in the short term, we see volatility out there. So again, focus on manufacturing, just sort of let's say, petroleum based, or it's using inputs which are raw materials of petroleum byproducts. The other thing would be in terms of we also like say some of the consumer discretionary names. You can play it at two levels. You can play it at the top end where you're looking at a premiumization, or you can look at it, some of them which are coming at the bottom end of the spectrum. So those I think are the 3, 4 places that we believe that we could do and look at it. And as we get
Sure.
clarity, then go back to financials and
You're right.
that team.
Right. So, Anil, many takeaways are coming in from that, and many sectors that you think are worth considering at these valuations. Thank you so much for joining us on NDTV Profit. Let's shift focus.